Welcome to Center of Light. It's going to get cray-cray up in here tonight. We're going to have some fun, some crazy fun. Going to share with you, for sure, 2 stories. Maybe a third one. It's all about stories. The Bible tells stories. The ancients tell stories. The elders tell stories. My father in South Louisiana, who I'm going to see late this week, his birthday was yesterday, tells stories. It's all about stories. Even in their fictitiousness, if applicable. No sound? Are you still experiencing? There's the voice. There we go. So everybody hearing me now? Somebody give me a exclamation point. Hello, Pauline. Yes, now. Thank you. I don't know what happened. So tonight we're going to be telling stories. 2 of them, possibly 3. The ancients told stories. Elders told stories. Our parents, grandparents, they tell stories. The Bible tells stories, allegories. All stories bring us into higher glories. We're going to be speaking about visitors. Tonight is Center of Light Visitors. What's up, Michael Rosen? Bro, I enjoy my time with you. Everyone, Michael Rose is in the house. Host of Dark Hour Paranormal. Check him out on YouTube. I'm there often. Been there twice. Often meaning we have a relationship. So tonight is Center of Light Visitors. We're going to be speaking about visitors. And so, let me check something. Something else is weird. Bear with me. It'll be worth the wait. It'll happen or not. Stories. I'm going to tell you 2 of them. Fictitious or not is not the point. If that's what you hope to take from this, is that it's valid or real, you've missed the garden of fantasy, the garden of greater reality, the garden of all possibility. If you can think about it, it does exist, at least on the mental thought level. So let's get to the level. Tonight we're going to be speaking about visitors. Who are these visitors? Valiant Thor and Nucleus 8. I have a lot. I love what I do so much. So much. I did an interview with Michael last night on Black Lotus Radio along with Wild Trees. He has to keep his name incognito. But anyway, they mentioned Valiant Thor. And I was like, what? So I decided to make a presentation tonight on Valiant Thor, which will dovetail with my experience with alien-human hybrid for 4+ years, Nucleus 8. And I may throw in a bonus track, if you will, a ghost track, a baker's dozen. For all my cosmic siblings and cousins. If I do decide to throw in this 3rd track, the C side of this album, I've only done it once before. But it all comes together in Center of Light Visitors. I have a lot. I'm going to get right down to it. I want to acknowledge this beautiful, sentient, unconditionally loving being, my cat, kitten/cat, Crystal. When I sit in this chair, all her activity stops. She sits right here and she lets me do my thing. So I want to acknowledge Crystal. Let's get right down to it. So tonight we're going to be talking about Center of Light visitors, Valiant Thor, as well as Nucleus 8. Don't go into this. You can choose if you want. Follow my lead, play my game. Please, please, please. Don't go into this with real or not. You will miss the grace that wants to kiss your face. All things are possible. So that means, like it or not, believe it or not, you can tell your mom or dad and there's nothing they can do about it either. In infinity, all playing fields are even. It's all possible, at least in the realm of thought, because if you think about what you will hear, now it's with you. So it does exist in this plateau, in this level of yourself. What usually happens from thought? Things begin to move, things begin to happen. I love what I do so much. I got up this morning when I made the decision to do this presentation. I made a mini movie about Valiant Thor. Got images from Google, put the voice track underneath. Pretty proud of myself. Enjoy it. And then we're going to move to, as the aliens would say, phase 2. Take this in such a way it's beautiful. Why? Because it's fun. Fun is joy. Joy is evidence of the presence of God. Be present with yourself when you watch this. Feel it. Experience it. Simply. That's all that's required.
Going back to the Valiant Thor story.
Yeah, let me read our a little bit about this story to our audience here, and you can tell me more about it. It's a very interesting. The story of Valiant Thor began back in 1957. He was, by the pictures that we have, a very handsome man. That could have been a movie star. Just had it all. Perfectly, great face. He was a man who visited the Eisenhower administration as well. He seemed quite normal, except that he was said to have no fingerprints and was able to see through walls. It was said that he was a Venusian, and he had landed his ship near Lake Mead in the Las Vegas area. Area 51. S4. The ship was referred to as the Victory 1. Valiant claimed he was the leader of all Venusians who were on Earth, walking amongst us, and he spoke in a dialect unlike any other known on the planet. He reported that his race of people lived within Venus, inside the planet, not on the surface, which is most inhospitable. That they were very attractive, intelligent, less violent than mankind, and he said they were sent here to protect man from himself, including nuclear devastation. According to Thor, he did not meet the president, but did meet with his Secretary of State, Dulles. A man named Frank Stranges then came forward, saying that he had met with Thor and his brother could walk through walls. He said that he often traveled with them and others through space, and then the story got stranger from that. But Frank Stranges is another character in this Valiant Thor epic. Tell us more.
Well, Dr. Frank Stranges was a minister. He also did some work in the military and military intelligence. And photographs that were taken of Valiant Thor were taken behind the home of Howard Menger in Highbridge, New Jersey in 1958. There was a series of black and white and color photographs taken by August C. Roberts. And August Roberts was a photographer during the Second World War. And Dr. Stranges was also a biblical scholar, and he would go around doing lectures and talk about life, the possibility of life existing on other planets. Well, after one of his lectures, August Roberts presented these photographs to Dr. Stranges and said, these are pictures of a being who claims to be from Venus, whose name he said is Valiant Thor, and he and his brother and the space lady met at Howard Menger's house, and I was there and I took these photographs. So thereafter, every time Dr. Stranges would lecture, he would show these photographs, and he said these are photographs reported of a being who's visiting Earth from Venus. Well, he was doing a lecture in Washington, D.C., and this was in 1959. And at the end of the lecture, people were crowding around him, asking him questions, and a woman approached him and said, Dr. Stranges, I need to talk to you immediately. And Dr. Stranges said, well, I'm with some people right now. Can you wait? And she said, no, I must talk to you immediately. So he excused himself from the other people, and he went into the office, and she said, the photograph of the person that you're showing is asking to meet with you. And she said, I have an assignment to bring you to the Pentagon. Tomorrow morning I'm going to pick you up at 8 o'clock, and you're going to be meeting this individual. And he said, well, I don't have any clearance to get into the Pentagon. She said, don't worry about it. She said, just follow what I tell you, and you will gain access. So the next thing, she picked him up. She happened to have FBI credentials. So she was with the FBI, and she said, I will pick you up tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, and I will take you to meet the individual who you're showing the photo of.
Okay.
She didn't call him by name. She just said the individual in the photograph that you're showing people. So she picked him up at 8 o'clock, and he didn't have any security. She had a security badge that she wore around her neck, and it was like over her right breast. So he said, I don't have any security clearance. She said, you do exactly what I do when we go through the security checkpoint. You won't have any issues. So when she passed through the first checkpoint, she opened up her coat and showed the right side of her dress, which was where her security clearance was. And she walked through, and then he opened his jacket. He didn't have anything there, and they waved him through. And he couldn't believe it. And she says, you got 2 more to go through. So they went through 2 more, and she brought him to the inner ring of the Pentagon, and they were up at a double wood door, and she said, the person who wants to meet you is in there. And he opens the door, and he says to her, are you coming in? She says, no, I was not asked. He goes inside, and on the right-hand side are the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And across the room, Jeff,
all of them,
is a bank of windows looking out into the courtyard of the Pentagon. There's a person standing there wearing a suit, and he turns around and starts walking to Dr. Frank and extends his hand. He says, Dr. Stranges, it's very nice to meet you. And he said, my name is Valiant Thor. So he shook hands with him, and he looked down, and he noticed that this person didn't have any palm prints or any fingerprints. And
totally
he
smooth.
thought to himself, for smooth as a baby. He said, smooth as a baby. And he said, how come you don't have any marks on your hands? And Valiant said to him, palm prints and fingerprints are the mark of mankind. We do not have that. And Dr. Strange said, what do you mean you don't have that? And he said, we never stopped walking with the Lord. And
he said what?
He said, we never stopped walking with the Lord. And it completely took Dr. Strange by surprise.
Stopped walking with the Lord. Huh. Right.
So that began a relationship that Dr. Strange had with Valiant Thor. Valiant landed in Alexandria, Virginia in 1957. I believe it was in February of 57, and was a guest at the Pentagon for 3 years until 1960. And he offered to bring solutions for overcoming disease and poverty, and bringing ideas for agriculture, for more efficient engineering of devices to work in harmony with.
Liberated the world from the hands of the moguls and ghouls who run it, and the petroleum stranglehold and all the rest of it. He wanted to turn us loose into reality.
Yep.
And you say he was a guest of the Pentagon for 3 years. Does that mean he was staying in the Pentagon?
He was staying in the Pentagon, and he would tell Dr. Strange, he said it was so funny, they would put him in his quarters, and they would lock the door, but he had the ability of being able to get out.
Oh, yeah.
So they could never contain him. They couldn't contain him. And he told Dr. Strange that every time he tried to talk to them about the benefits that they were bringing as gifts for mankind here, all they wanted to know was how his ship operated, how his suit was able to repel laser beams, and how it was able to repel...
Same old. They want military use. It's all military.
Yeah.
Military
so
first.
So he told Dr. Strange's that he was here for a 4-phase program. The first phase was to contact all world leaders, let them know of the existence of beings from other planets here, so that they would come forward and announce this. Well, that failed. The second phase was approaching religious leaders from all the world religions and introducing themselves to them. And Dr. Strange said, Val, what did they say about that? And he said, they basically said, you paddle your canoe, we'll paddle ours. And the third phase, that's interesting, isn't it?
It's fascinating.
The third phase was to contact all of the universities and colleges of merit and worth, and introduce themselves and ask them to come forward with this information. They were forward with it. So the fourth phase, and what they've been involved in ever since, is a grassroots movement to raise public awareness and public consciousness, because it's not coming through official channels.
Good looking some gun. He had 6 digits on each hand and foot. He looked like Jimmy Stewart. I'm looking for my wife Mary. Dapper young man, isn't he? I want to read you some more about Valiant Thor. Tonight is Center of Light visitors, Valiant Thor and Nucleus 8. There are dozens of reasons why skeptics have called BS on Valiant Thor's existence. First, Venus is an uninhabitable planet. How does one, even alien, live there? Is it Thor's technology? Does he live there in a multi-dimensional plane? My guess is absolutely. Skeptoid with Brian Dunning also pointed out Strange's weak credentials. We being honest. People are saying, calling it bull, so forth. They discredit, or at least skeptical about it. There's a lot to read. I have a big show, so I'm going to move forward. The fact that Laura Eisenhower and Harley Bird, Admiral Richard Byrd's nephew, had some part with the book doesn't make it more believable. Aliens and God from Valiant Thor. This is Valiant Thor, if he did exist, his view on God. Jesus Christ That's strange. Looking on the planet. I don't know what that means. Basically, he's pro-Jesus Christ, acknowledging the presence of the Master. And from Thor himself, Valiant Thor, he always spoke in positive terms, always with a smile on his face. He said that man was further away from God than ever before. This was in however long ago, in the black and white days. But there was still a good chance if man looks in the right place. One must wonder how far Christianity has spread across the universe. Delicious, isn't it? That our Christ consciousness, deity, whatever one you choose, Christ consciousness, whatever that is, which is not anything at all. You cannot pigeonhole, put in a lunch pail, the Christ. It's infinite. But the Christ principle, that even aliens, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, my alien human hybrid friend Nucleus 8, they're all pro-God. In fact, Nucleus 8 in his society called God breath. What is breath? Breath is life. Life is God. God is breath. God breathed life into man. So now we're getting back into the self, which is, we're connecting right now, right here, right now. We're connecting. Wow, is this real? I'm telling you, it's real. It sounds so, yes, exactly. We want airy fairy, don't we? Don't we want to go into the air like the fairies to be able to fly, flap, be? See? It is about all those childhood dreams, visions, and memories you have and had. Don't be had on the nonsense. It is magical. The magical world of Disney. So now we're going to move into phase 2. Nanu. I'm going to share with you. Hello, Katarina. Welcome again, everyone. For those who are just joining, it's going to go deep into the cosmic, not rabbit hole, but black hole. But we're going to come out in a white hole, the lighter side of things. My time with Nucleus 8. I made this video back in the square box video days with a Panasonic camera. Anyway, it does tell the brief story about my time with alien human hybrid I met in 1998. And then I'm going to read you some dialogue I had with Nucleus 8, alien human hybrid friend, about 5 years ago. No, a little longer than that. After 14 years, after our 4.5-year relationship, after 14 years I haven't seen him, he shows up by all means in a Facebook inbox. The night before, I did the very first Center of Light radio on Inception Radio Network with the doctor who married the long story. But I will go into some of our dialogue in Facebook inbox, and you will see that his thought process is not normal, not what we're used to. It's alien. Let me find my video. Enjoy. Where are you? I hope this is it. That wasn't it. The video timed out. So what I'm going to do, let's see, where do I get the story? Give me a second. Just give me a second. I'll be right back. Years ago, I was teaching a class at the Connection Center here in Memphis, Tennessee. And a friend of mine, Laura, who's known to be a little goofy sometimes, that day was no exception, she comes up to me and says, "Keith, do you want to meet an alien?" And I saw that she was being serious. And so I said, "Sure." So we walked over to this woman, about 5'1" tall. And as soon as I extend my hand to say hello, the energy that came through this 5'1" woman was very male, very robust, very big, was very, very present, very, very different. The intellect of this being, to use a word, was alien. It was very, very foreign. It was just different. It was had a strange slant to it. And I can feel the presence. It was just not earthly. At least this was my first impression. And so I said, "Hi, my name's Keith." And I won't call him by his real name. He asked me not to. I will call him Chuck. Chuck the alien. And so I introduced myself to Chuck, and the first thing out of his mouth, he goes, "What do you want?" I said, "What do you mean what I want?" He goes, "Everybody wants something." I said, "I don't follow." He goes, "You want some help with that?" I said, "Yep." He goes, "You want data?" And I just thought that odd. He used the word data. It was just, it just seemed so alien-like. And so over a period of time, after we developed a level of trust between us, he started doing some pretty phenomenal things in front of my face. For example, one day he said, "Keith, do you remember I've been promising you a journey? Today's the day. You're ready. Do you want to go on that journey?" I said, "Absolutely." I said, "What do I need to do?" He says, "All you need to do, Keith, is give me your hand." So I give him my hand, and he begins to pull on my arm. And everything I knew as me started leaving my body through my arm, sort of as I'm tugging on this shirt. And I get out about 5 or 6 feet or so, and he lets go, and he said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I'm trying to figure out what or what not to do to make this happen." He goes, "That's your problem right there, Keith. I don't want you to do anything. What I want you to do is just let go." So he starts pulling on my arm again, and I get out about 15 feet or so, and he stops. He says, "We're not doing this anymore." I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "Well, some part of you is still holding on, and I'm just not going to violate your free will." He said, "But let me ask you, did you see anything while you were out?" I said, "Yes, I did." He said, "What did you see?" I saw his spaceship. I saw where it was located. It was located 27,000 light years away. There was a knowing involved as well. It was on a planetary station. I went inside the ship. When you walk in the ship, if you want a place to sit down, you just think of a chair, and a chair comes out of the wall. And when you're done with the chair goes back into the wall, back into nothing. They conserve energy on every possible level. It disappears, basically. I saw the technology that ran that ship. It runs on a very large crystal. I've seen everything about this person, his bio, so to speak. He is a galactic cop. He roams the galaxy policing it as if a police officer would roam around a neighborhood, keeping the riffraff out. I also saw that his team, they go around the Milky Way galaxy and they help stars being born. And they destroy certain planets or whatever celestial bodies that are no longer viable to the galaxy or to the universe. He has awareness in 6 dimensions. He's about 7 foot tall. He is part gray and part human. His dad was an Egyptian king. He's 4,000, he's about 4,730 years old. Their technology is so advanced, it allows them that once they die, they can rejuvenate the body half that time, and then once they die a second time, they can rejuvenate the body half that time. After that, the body is spent and they just move on to another level of consciousness entirely. And so, another day, he asked me, calls me on the phone, "Keith, everyone in our group," we had a selected few friends, we would have a meditation group every other Sunday, and he said, "Everyone in our group has an implant, but you. Do you want it?" He says, "I make them myself. You cannot see it, they're so small." He says, "It's yours if you want it." I said, "Well, what are the benefits? What are the drawbacks?" He says, "Well, Keith, the benefits are if you are sick, we can administer medicine through the implant. If you are lost, for whatever reasons, we can find you. And if you're in trouble, we can help you." And so forth and so on. He named a few more perks. And I said, "Okay, what's the drawback?" He says, "Do you have anything you are ashamed of?" And I actually considered for a moment. I said, "No, I think everything's fine." He says, "Do you want it?" I said, "Yes, I do." He says, "By the next time you and I speak, be it in public, face to face or over the phone, this will be implanted." I said, "Good deal." So I go play music that night. I was playing at the casino. And I did 5 sets, and I come home about 3 o'clock in the morning. Dog tired. The last thing on my mind is dreaming, and much less about aliens. But 7 o'clock in the morning, I came to a state of consciousness while my body was sleeping because of an excruciating pain in my right kidney region. And if you ever had a kidney stone, you know what that feels like. And so I look over my shoulder to find out the source of this pain, and there's the equivalent of like a 65-year-old, 70-year-old alien woman administering this implant in my kidney area. And she's laughing at me with the attitude like, "Keith, you went into this thing thinking it would hurt, and so therefore you're right." And again, this pain was so intense. She picks me up when she was done. She walks me over to where he was sitting, which looked to be somewhat like a lawn chair. And because the pain was so much, I began to vomit all over his feet. And he begins to laugh, and he does one of these kind of things. My phone rings. I answer the phone, groggy, hello? And guess who it is? It's Chuck. And I said, dude, I just had a dream about you. He says, no, Keith, you didn't dream. I said, what do you mean? He says, it wasn't a dream at all. He says, you were actually here. I said, you sure about that? He says, well, the vomit all over my shoes tells me you were. He says, Keith, Wendy, have you guys ever seen a fairy before? No, I hadn't. And Wendy's going, oh my God, Keith, is he for real? I said, I'm afraid so. So we're about to see a fairy. And so he says, well, she's down the road here on the right, about 50 feet. She's going to be sitting on a leaf on this plant. And so we walk down there, and he raises up this plant leaf, and there's a globule of light, I kid you not, about the size of a marble. And he says, Keith, Wendy, Laura, meet Perithnia. And this little ball of light, he began to communicate with this ball of light, and this little orb would start glowing as if it was communicating back. And he says, Perithnia wants us to follow her. So she gets off of the plant and starts bouncing down the road, and we proceeded to follow her a few feet. He says she wants to show us something. And as we're walking to the next destination, somehow she had to take off. He said, she's got to go, and off she went, just zipped away. And Wendy is just beside herself, and I'm beside myself. One day, we were at a Chinese restaurant after a church service. And there was a huge round table that we were all sitting at. There's probably 6, 7, 8 of us. And he says, Keith, I'm speaking actually at this time to the woman. And she talks in this very high-pitched voice. And out of nowhere, he comes in and the voice changes, the demeanor changes, the whole body changes, the whole expression changes. And I'm telling you, this cannot be faked. I can see, believe me, I can see. And there's no way even the best actor can pull this off. And so she's talking, he comes in, and he says, Keith, do you want an invisible friend? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, someone to play with you, someone to put thoughts in your head that will guide you. I said, sure. He says, scoot your chair back. So I scoot my chair back. He goes, Keith, scoot your chair back. I'm about to sit somebody in your lap. And he raises up his hand, and my ears begin to ring. And I literally feel this being sit on my lap. And my girlfriend at the time, Wendy, she's going, oh my God, Keith, there's someone sitting there. I said, there's someone sitting in my lap. She goes, Chuck, can I have a friend too? He says, scoot your chair back, Wendy. So Wendy scoots her chair back. And you should have seen the look on her face. The look on her face was convincing. And these are just some of the experiences I had surrounding my friend Chuck. Did you see my eyes? I mean, I'm a rock guy. I've done my share of partying. I get it. But boy. So, Nucleus 8. Time goes by. I had my experience. This was the 10-year mark. So, the 20-year mark shows up 14 years later. Nucleus 8 shows up in my Facebook inbox. And he's goofing off already at the very beginning. Keep in mind, the night before, I launched Center of Light Radio on Inception Radio Network, interviewing Dr. Rex Hare, the man who married the woman that Nucleus 8 superimposes. 14 years later, he contacts me and says, "Sup, dude?" So Margie and Dr. Rex separated lovingly. Guess where she lives now? In Egypt. There's just so much to it. So let me get into the dialogue after 14 years and contacting Nucleus 8 again. This is how it starts off. Let me find it. This is crazy. One sec. There we go. This is a drawing of Nucleus 8, heroic Nucleus 8. He is head of security in this quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy. I'm going to pause right there on purpose. Drink that cup of cosmic goop. That is the truth. You can tell your mom or dad there's nothing they can do about it. That's the truth. I've seen him twice. With my eyes, or in the capacity of whatever seeing is, other than working through Margie. I'm going to read the dialogue that began a few years ago after I have not seen him for 14 and a half years. Keep in mind, after Center of Light Radio with Dr. Rex Hare, first interview. Hey, Keith. I called him Chuck. And coincidentally, he decides to pseudo-name himself. Anonymous name himself. Hey, Keith, it's Frank. How about letting the old man, because he was 4,720 years old then, so now he's 4,740 years old now. Hey, Keith, it's Frank. How about letting the old man into your Center of Light group? I say, I just added you. By the way, he says, by the way, Facebook is strange, very strange indeed. And I am most thankful. And I asked him, befuddled, do you work with Nucleus 8? He said, hey, Keith, it's Marjorie. Hey, Keith, Marjorie is channeling me. Nucleus 8 here. You better be jumping up and down. I said, I am. He said, that's better, brother. And I say, brother, it's been a long time, he says. And I say, how are you? He says, indeed it has been. I am getting older. Listen not to the words, but the timbre, the tone, the tenor, the soprano, the bass, the alto of it all. His dialogue is not normal. Beautiful it is, but it's very intellectual, and it doesn't require a lot of words. And I say, how are you? He said, indeed, it's been a long time. I am getting older. And I say, it touches my heart that you are making contact with me. And this is his reply. Wow. You have been pulling at me with great force lately. How could I resist? Wow. Am I? What is it about? Anything you can share? I ask. He says, establishing a strong connection again, from what I understand. Good enough for me, he says. I say, yes, thank you. And I ask, no, he asks, everything is so small and are you working tonight, Keith? And I say, no, I am off. He says, enjoy your rest. How's your son? I said, powerful, beautiful, and growing. And then I say, you can come and work on me anytime. Dreamland is good. He says, so I have seen. Congratulations on becoming a father. I apologize for being so late with this. Wow. If time permits, I have a bit of lag time currently. And I say, I think, you are so busy and my thoughts and love for you. I say this to him. You are so busy and my thoughts of love for you never waver. He says, you have never left me alone. My sincerest appreciation to you for your loyalty to our brotherhood. And I say, if you do come in my dream, if your time permits, help me to be conscious of it and take me somewhere. Hello, Kelly. Did you guys watch the part of the video where I told you I received an implant from Nucleus all those years ago? 14 and a half years later, in this conversation in Facebook Messenger, he says this to me. If you will permit me to tweak your implant, It will be painless this time. But if you insist on the pain, we will fill you we will fill you full of wonderful narcotics. How does this sound to you? And I say, no pain is good. He said, will do. I will set up an appointment for you. I'm looking for my place. The text is so small. And I asked Nucleus, are you going to stay in touch and or be around for a while here in this plane? He says, LOL, I most certainly will. Indeed, I will be near for the time being. I might consider taking a leave from being security of this quadrant of the galaxy. The events depend. He has a finger in every cosmic pie. This is the level of his cosmic security. And I say, I won't keep you any longer for the day. It is such a pleasure to talk with you again. And as I said before, come see me anytime and make me conscious so I can remember I was there. There is so much dialogue. It continued for 4 years. He says that sometimes I show up on his spacecraft, 27,000 light years in another dimension. I show up and turn on like a dimmer switch, playing guitar when I'm out playing music. And all the children aliens are watching. He says, do you recall entertaining us? There's so much. I'm going to keep moving forward. Take a song break. I may come back to one more dialogue with Nucleus 8 here shortly. Visitors. Tonight's Center of Light visitors. Valiant Thor and Nucleus 8. And I may play part 3. I'm still debating. I've only shared this one other time. It's fun. It's cool. It's exciting. Yay. But something about it is not necessary. But I'm having a good time. I love what I do. Kim Gary says, deja vu. Got it this second. All right, going to be right back. I'm going to play a song, and I'm going to do another excerpt from my conversation with Nucleus 8. It's real. He is real. I know. I'm either an idiot, gullible, or a fool. It's beyond real. It's called reality. What we know we can call real. What I am speaking about is reality. He has awareness on 6 dimensions simultaneously. How about some Lavender Soul? How about some... Time for a change. Why not? I'll see you shortly.
a billion stars, leaving my hands to fate. That's all I've got, all I've got. In the summertime, I won't have no water. Oh, wait, it's a little bit harder to leaving my hands to fade. All up to fade. I wonder why. Ooh, I wonder why. Time for a change. Time for a change. Time for a change.
Pretty cool song, huh? Lavender Soul. Dolores, I didn't forget about you. I'm busy. Doesn't mean you're secondary, not primary, and priority. I'm getting there. I'm going to send you your disc soon. I really appreciate my time with you. Tonight is Center of Light, Valiant Thor, and Nucleus 8. Now we're on phase number 2, which is about my alien human hybrid friend, Nucleus 8. Head of security for this quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy, 27,000 light years away in another dimension. Lives on a mothership planetary station. Amazing. There's so much. If you're interested in more about this, one night I can do a full-on, in-depth experience with Nucleus 8 about what happens in this level of reality. My God. So the last segment I spoke about when I had an implant with Nucleus 8 many years ago. And then he said, 14 years later, which was a few years ago, Keith, you want me to tweak? And I said, sure. This is that dialogue that happened through Facebook inbox of all places. Let me find it. So closing out that last dialogue, I say, thank you for your friendship and service. He says, take care. Always, Keith. Remember, his words are simple, very intellectual. Consciously chosen. So the next night, I knew that day, just like he did the first time when he gave me the implant, I knew it was going to happen that night. The next morning that we agreed for the tweaking of the implant, I woke up, he was still on Earth, and I sent him an inbox And I say, hello, brother. I just wanted to say thank you. My experience last night during sleep was very expanding, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I sent him a picture of my son, and he says, beautiful young man, what a delightful life you have. That's not normal human dialogue. And I say, my son is sitting next to me, and he says, thank you. He is most welcome. He continues, Keith, the key for your experience, do you have the night? Was I on your planetary? No, excuse me. I say this. The key for the experience, do you have the night? Was I on your planetary station, or was it aboard your ship? He says, the big station is the ship. And I say, by the way, the first line of that sentence, there we go. So anyway, we're going to bypass that. Nucleus says, you are most welcome, brother. I felt that you would remember quite a bit. And I say, a few things I remember in particular. One was playing with a lady by the name of Laura in a swinging house. The other was seeing you hovering above me. The other was feeling the implant embedded in my arm just below my left elbow. And finally, I remember the fairy named Halo moving my arms, through my arms, into my arms, to my energy, into my energy field, removing false energy from me. He says, and I said, it was most delightful and very invigorating. Thank you. He says, I thought you might enjoy yourself. Do you recall entertaining us? And this is when he continued to say how that when I play music, sometimes they choose me like a Netflix station. Let's go watch Keith tonight. And all the little alien children, yeah, look at what's Keith. And they just turn me on, they watch me, and I'm an entertainer and I'm a goofball. Do you believe? It's not required for you to believe because a seed has already been planted. Granted, it will take root as our time down the timeline moves forward. Tonight is Center of Light visitors. Kim Delaney loves fairies. I've seen Perithnia, Halo, and a few other. I have. It's all real. Makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside, doesn't it? Well, Keith, I'm not sure that you're a charlatan. I don't care what you think. I'm not sure that maybe you're not trying. Maybe that you actually, I believe that you believe what you believe is true. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Why not just believe it too? What else is there? What happens if it's not real? An 8-year-old child believes in Santa Claus, and it's a beautiful story. Never would you take such a beautiful glory from them. They will mature into their own wisdom in season. That's the reason. Maybe we are in season for a greater reason. By removing ourselves from the treason of our soul. So I'm now going to move into round 3. Crystal told me to do it. My kiki. I've only mentioned this, shared this one other time. Please pay close attention to what's the intention that I do mention. I'm looking for the right, here we go. I'll be out a while. Get you something to drink, something to eat. Come back, fill yourself with some spiritual manna. You'll love beyond measure. I want to introduce you to someone, the man who I studied little in 1995. And something happened night before last, watching a documentary, an interview on Gaia TV with him. I just thought it'd be cool to see what he's up to. A miracle happened in 1995. That same exact miracle, happened again last night. So it was a double alignment. Enter James Hurtak, J.J. Hurtak. Who is James Hurtak? J.J. Hurtak, born James Joachim Hurtak in 1940, also sometimes referred to as James Jacob. Why is he referred to as James Jacob? Because he is Jacob reincarnated. I don't dabble in nonsense. I do my research very thoroughly. He is Jacob from the Bible reincarnated. James is an American social scientist, linguist, and boy, is he smart. Social scientist, linguist, futurist, and author. Dr. Hurtak's work encompasses a diverse array of disciplines, including religion and philosophy, space law, environmental sciences, remote sensing, and unconventional theories in the fields of planetary sciences and archaeology. Remember that word, archaeology. Through the Academy for Future Science, Dr. Hurtak works internationally to encourage people to embrace new and emerging technologies. Many years ago, archaeologists, he was not a divine man. He was a man who studied divinity. He studied hello, Carl Laprousse. Hello, everyone that's just arrived. He studied languages, cultures, sacred mantras, sacred names of God for many, many years as an archaeologist. But he was also a musician. So he knew about frequencies and vibration. Obviously, looking at his picture, he's Jewish by his culture. But he's not bound to it. It's a catalyst for him. So being a musician and understanding frequency and vibration, and his learning of sacred names of God from all over the world, he began to put phrases, sacred names of God together. I'm paraphrasing all this information. It's been so long ago. Using toning, he put ancient sounds and names of God together that he gathered from all around the world. One day, listen to this. Listen to this. This is real. One day in meditation, while chanting these sounds, Dr. Hurtak opened up a morphogenic field to the Godhead. Hello? Biblical Enoch appeared as a being of light and asked Dr. Hurtak, "Are you ready?" Dr. Hurtak responded, "I am." Then he was taken off of the planet physically for 2.5 days, where he was encoded with fire letters, Hebrew yod marks that contain vast amounts of information beyond the English language could ever convey. Soon after, Dr. Hurtak began to write the book of knowledge, The Keys of Enoch. The book you see on this screen. I'm going to show that image a little closer, a little tighter later, with a lot greater bang, many years ago. I'm going to sleep. Thought nothing of it. Just going to sleep. Keep in mind, all of my life, I wouldn't say more so, from a kid's point of view, I have been playing with extraterrestrials and ultra-terrestrials. Extraterrestrials, beings who have bodies, but if they're highly evolved enough, they can choose not to have one. Ultra-terrestrials, or angels, are super angelic, like the Mahavatars and avatars, Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, Swamiji, Satya Sai Baba, Mother Mira, and so forth and so on. But one night, I find myself aboard a craft. I was in what we would call the living room of the craft. And as I get my wits about me and come to a state of full-blown awareness, I sense a presence next to me. I didn't look, but I could see them as I could see my hand peripherally. A loving presence, a guiding presence. It was a guide, a spiritual guide. And puts its hand on my shoulder and says, Keith, because you've been a very good participant all these years, your graduation is happening. Congratulations. You get to meet the people in charge. This is an honor, Keith. Out of a door on the right walked this 5 foot, 6.5, 7 alien being. Everything about this being was earth tones. Sandy looking skin, beige this, all these earth tones. Though it was male, it did embody both genders. Let me rephrase that. It was balanced in both its male and feminine aspects. And like the guide said, you get to meet the people in charge. And the first being that walks out the room, the one I just described to you, I was like, wow. I could feel the power, the intelligence oozing off of this energy, this being, this ultra extraterrestrial. If you've ever seen the movie, let me give you a description of what they look like. If you've ever seen the movie Predator, don't use the horror image. That's not where I'm going with this. Just that dreadlock hair kind of thing. But it was brown because they were all earth tones. It had the same type of look to it, but it wasn't so scary. It didn't have the crab mouth. It just looked like an extraterrestrial. It was quite beautiful, actually. There was no fear, no time for fear. And so I met the first being. And then my guide next to me says, Keith, now meet the top dog. Keith, meet Enoch. And out of a door on the left stepped this alien, ultra-terrestrial being. And they looked identical. Side by side, you can tell them apart. The only way I could tell them as being different is because when the first one slammed me with, oh my God, feel the power off of this being. When Enoch came out that door, it was 10 times fold. This happened to me many, many years ago. I will never forget it. So Dr. James Hurtak was taken to the Godhead by Enoch, wrapped him in a garment of light so his body would not just explode, and he was there for 2.5 days. This is where I'm going to share with you what happened to me 15 years ago, as well as night before last. And how this all relates to me and my lineage as a brother of light back to whatever Enoch is in the cosmic scheme of things, as to why I am part of that lineage. Why Yah, John, Yah, Yanava, John. Yah is John. With my work, initiating people back into the light. That happened to me again night before last. It's all tied. All of it. Enoch, Noah, house of David, all the way down to the perfection of Jesus. Yah, John, baptism of Jesus, baptism of people, initiates into the light. In 1995, I met a beautiful 70-plus-year-old woman by the name of Margaret Willamont. When I was first writing The Divine Principle, when I felt it was on its way, still raw as all can be, I wanted to see what it felt like to be a published author, so I printed 100 books. And I began to put a monthly in the local libraries all around Memphis. And I get a phone call one day. Some old lady by the name of Margaret Wilmot says, "Hello, young man. You need to come see me. I found your flyer in the library. We need to talk. I got something for you." I said, "Sure." "Where do you live?" She says, "Blah, blah, 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 on Guernsey Avenue." She lived right across the street from me. So I began to visit her once a week. Ish. One day she calls me and says, "Keith, you need to come over." Her brother ascended. Left. Just left. She wasn't really, I'm going to use this in all love and respect, to be what people would say wasn't all there. That was her magic and her power and her beauty, because it didn't make sense. It doesn't need to make sense. That's how powerful it is. It doesn't make sense to the human logic, to the human psyche. If we knew it all, it wouldn't make sense. So she calls me over and hands me a VHS videotape. This is how long ago it was. And it was of Dr. James Hertog. She says, "Keith, watch this video. What I called you over here for is on that video." All right. So put the video on the player, start watching it. About an hour and 15 minutes goes by. I called and said, "Margaret, what's going on?" I said, I don't see it. I don't understand. She goes, "Keep watching, Keith." As soon as we hung up the phone, Dr. Hertog, who's doing a presentation in an auditorium with about 500 people, points to a screen. This is not about me. This is about the alignment and the work that I am charged with doing. He points to the screen, a PowerPoint presentation, and says, "This is an image of one of the brothers of light charged by the office of the Christ on the earth today to bring about change." When I saw that tuning fork inside of me began to vibrate at a level I had no understanding of. The brothers of light, also called the brothers and sisters of light, the brothers and sisters of paradise, the B'nai Or, the office of the Christ. I want to show you an image now. One moment. So you've seen this image of this extra/ultra terrestrial being. His name is Akon. Akon. He's from Alpha Centauri. When I saw that image on that screen, I didn't know what to do with that. I shared it with my then wife. She became silent immediately. I am telling you this because this is a lineage that is being passed down not only through me. The fact that you are here, that the whole bang, the bells and whistles, the kit and caboodle of it all, that in humanity has been waiting for is happening to you, to me, to we, right now. Crazy, isn't it? I have come to know within myself and through my study that more has happened on Earth that involves beyond the Earth than the Earth containing everything itself. What has to be? We came here as spiritual beings. We didn't come from the Earth. We came here to the Earth. This is happening on every possible frequency, bandwidth, vibration, and level. I honestly don't remember much of being that person. In fact, I don't claim whatsoever that I was nor am that person. That's not what I'm claiming. What I am saying is, for whatever reasons, all vibration takes form. The reason you look like the way you do is because vibration takes form. The reason you look like your mother and your father and your mother and father mixed together is because vibration has taken form. That holds true on every level. It just so happens in my spirituality and why I am here to do the work I am doing aligns me with that exact energy that just so happens to look like that being I just showed you. That's it. It's the best way I can describe it to you. If you saw that being, Akon, and a picture of my mother side by side, it would flabbergast you. Welcome back to Center of Light visitors. Visitors have been coming for a long time. They are here and they will always come. Those visitors can be extraterrestrials, as we talked about, or I have talked about throughout tonight. But extraterrestrial simply means off-planet. This includes the celestials or the ultra-terrestrials, the angelic nature, the fairy kingdom. Be careful, some of those fairies are little shits. They'll come kick in your pants when you're sleeping. I hope you had a good time. I had a really good time expressing a part of myself. I'm still processing, just to play in the garden of fun, whatever that means. Thank you for being with me, always. I am always open to your suggestions. Someone says, Raymond Pierre says, can you read me, please? You send me a personal inbox message, and we'll go from there. How's that? I'm always open to your conversations, your subject content, any ideas for presentation. I live in the garden with my beautiful Crystal cat. Sits here. She's about to start waking up because she feels my energy changing. She is. Send me a suggestion, inbox. Hey Keith, talk about this, that. I'm willing to do the research, and it makes for a good evening out. Hello, COVID 2020. Not 19, 2020. But it's coming to an end very soon. I promise you. Hang on a little longer. Little longer. What seems to be unbelievable is the new model. What seems to be unbelievable is the new model. It's the key to the door. It's the way out of the swamp. Moving back to center, out of the whirlpool / cesspool.